So we're looking at Luke chapter 5. And in Luke chapter 5, an identical phrase is used twice. Left everything and followed Jesus. It's used first of all about a group of fishermen, Simon and his friends and colleagues in sentence 11, and then it's used again by Levi in sentence 28. Jesus speaks to them, he calls them, and it says immediately they left everything and followed him. Exactly the same phrase. Now, for Simon, who later becomes Simon Peter and sometimes just called Peter, that leaving everything literally meant a physical putting down of things. He was a fisherman, he literally put down his nets and he left that business, he left that career, he left that physical place, and he went and followed Jesus. The same phrase, left everything and followed Jesus, used about Levi, but Levi doesn't physically leave anything at all. The very next sentence, he's in his own home, throwing a huge party, welcoming different people in. I think the point is, when Jesus calls us, which he issues that call to all of us, calls us to follow him, it doesn't necessarily mean leaving stuff. When it says left everything, it doesn't literally mean physically leaving everything. What it is putting down of your values and what you prioritize and your ambitions. It means leaving that behind. Now, for Simon Peter, that manifested itself in physically leaving his career. But actually for Levi, it manifested himself in totally changing direction, a 180-degree change in his lifestyle, but he remained in his house, in his life, in the kind of role that he had beforehand. I want to urge us to think about that. To think actually that when Jesus calls, it's not about leaving, but it's about being sent. That when Jesus calls us, he's not asking us necessarily to leave something. That default is wrong. When he calls us, he's asking us to understand that we have been sent somewhere. And for the majority of us, that means sent back into the same life we were living. Most of us are not Simon Peters, called to up sticks and change direction and move geographically. Most of us are Levi's. A total change of direction, but sent back into the very same life we had before. So for Levi, the banquet he throws in his home, with his money, with his family, with his servants, the same life, but the banquet, the guests are now exactly not the sort of people he ever would have mingled with or mixed with, certainly not socially beforehand. I want you to hear Jesus calling you. I absolutely do. But I want you to understand that he's saying, as I call you, I'm sending you back into your home. I'm sending you back into your parenting, back into your marriage, back into the relationships that you do have. I'm sending you back in as a nurse, as a teacher, as a mechanic, as someone who's retired. I'm sending you there, just like I sent Levi, back into your old life as a new person, to live in a totally different way. That phrase, to leave everything, is about leaving behind your old values and your old priorities and your own old hopes and your old dreams, your old ambitions, leaving them all behind and being sent back into your life to live for Jesus in a new way. Very few of us are Simon Peters, all of us are Levi's. Another way of thinking about this and realizing it's there in Luke 5, this putting down, is to realize that all the stories in Luke chapter 5, the people in the story end up laying down before Jesus. Just saying, I'm before you, Jesus, and I've given it all up. So Simon does that in sentence 8. He falls before Jesus' feet. The leper does it in sentence 12. He falls before Jesus' feet. The paralyzed man has no option other than to be laid before Jesus' feet. And Levi holds a banquet, which in that culture was to lay down at a table before Jesus. Well, whichever one of those images helps you, that leaving everything is putting down your values and your ambitions, or whether it's that image of laying down before Jesus and surrendering it all. Being called is not about leaving, it's about being sent. Sent back into your life with a whole new set of values to live for Jesus. So what might that look like for you this week?